Hi,
Hey,
I'm Daniela Mosca, 22 years old and cosplayer and massive Assassin's Creed fan. I'm actually representing South Africa as Eivor for Valhalla. And yeah, I'd just like to ask you some questions if that's okay.
yes, for sure. Amazing. I love it.
As someone with artistic talent, who is your greatest creative inspiration?
So I would say the inspiration is not falling from the sky. As you know, it's a question of work and pursued interest in doing things. So I have a lot of inspiration coming from traditional painters. Actually, you would say it might be surprising even for AC because we have the reputation of working with a realistic setting, and we could use a lot of photos. But actually, I'm more interested in using traditional art as inspiration. So, for instance, in Valhalla, we used a lot traditional painters like Gaspar Friedrich as a reference. He's a romantic painter, and I love to use this kind of romantic direction in the game to put really emphasis and the beauty on the beauty of nature, for instance, the impressive nature, and be maybe less rational about the art, but more, directed by emotions. So that's what we try to make, and we did the same. I would say even for Origins when we looked at a lot of traditional paintings as inspiration. Like David Roberts was one of the many illustrators we use as inspiration.
That's amazing. That's actually really interesting to find out. Yeah. Did you travel to any real-world locations to use as reference for the environment of the 9th century England? Or
Oh, yes, for sure. So as a European, I had the chance to go already a few times to England, Scotland, and also I went in Norway in 2012. We did some hikes with my wife. It was an incredible journey. I love so much Norway. It's so beautiful. You arrive there and it looks like it's not real. You're in a place. Well, even the light is different. You can do a hike if you're not an early bird like me. You can start your hike at maybe 11 a.m. and you can end your hike at at almost midnight, and you still have the sunlight, which is incredible. And also, I would say the shape of the mountain. They look like if they're like sculpted by giants. They have shapes. They can have the shape of a wave, which is like not natural. It looks like really from another planet. So it's very otherworldly. And also in England, we spent some time with the team. We had a scouting trip. We went to a few locations, cities, museums, but also we did a few hikes. And because we really wanted to be able to offer to the player the feeling of freedom of being able to spend a long time in the landscape, not only in man-made locations, not only in civilian locations. You also want to show the beauty of the biomes, the world, and the world map. You can really create your mental map of the game using the different moods, seasons, biomes, and as you go from the south to the north, you will go from summer to winter.
that's amazing. So this is a bit of a fan question coming from a lot of people that I know that are fans from the game, and also partially some of my own. Where did you get the inspiration behind the character of Eivor? I know a lot of people unintentionally maybe are comparing her and his design to Ragnar and Lagertha from Vikings. Were you guys at all inspired by Vikings, or where did you guys get your inspiration from?
Well, that's a very good question. Actually, I think inspiration, as I was saying, is coming from a lot of different directions, and not only from the entertainment industry, but also from traditional art. Traditional painters, and also we wanted, like we did on Black Flag, we wanted to move away from the cliche of the Vikings. That's really something we try to do on every AC game if we want to even, like I would say, recreate something or create something based on reality. We want to move away from all the cliches. So the cliches you can have about the pirates, I would say more like for the entertainment industry, we used to see for a specific fantasy wants to do something that is a bit more grounded, I would say, even if we take a lot of freedom on a few different sides. It's finding the balance when I was talking about being more authentic. So yes, inspiration was coming from different, different reference we had in mind, but also we wanted to create our own vision of the Vikings. So I would say, like, for sure, you can't design a character if you don't have a proper story, and that's why we work with the scriptwriters, with Alain, with Darby, and we try to define the personality of the character. And I'm less involved into the bio of the character, but then it's a very cool inspiration when we start to work on the character. They help us to define the facial features and the way we want to see the character. But on my side, it's very important to bring to life a character that we want to play, and we will be spending so much time, maybe 80 hours, maybe 200 hours with this character. So it has to be touching, and you want to be to incarnate this person. So it's a good challenge for the team, for the concept art team, but also for the modders, because you start with a beautiful illustration, and that you need to make sure that it's going to look amazing also in 3D, in the real time engine, which is a good challenge. Just the fur you have behind you, you can make like an amazing looking and working with the different shapes, but the shading is real light. But when we make a game, it's so difficult to get this kind of solar reflection and isotropic reflection of the fur, the details. That's a huge challenge for the team.
Yeah, just speaking about taking something 2D and making it 3D is literally what cosplay feels like. It's looking at that flat image and then figuring, how do I take, okay, so I see the front of this, how do I then make it like even like a 360 or like a 3/4 view? Like, what will that look like if the person bends? What will that look like if the person raises their arms? It's just really interesting to see how different creative outlets blend into one another. So that's really cool.
Well, that's why we usually have this kind of, I would say, the canon illustration we use, even we can use as a reference for the marketing. And then we have to do more technical sketches, so side and the back. Usually we do the front and the back. That's the basic. We need to do that for the models, because every time we get approval, by the creative director, on we come with the front, I would say, a charismatic pose, and we don't have like even a T stance. It's a real action pose, or it's something that can really nail the character. But then when we give that to the models, they're okay, Raph, I don't know how to model this, and you don't have like a neutral pose. You need to change a bit. I would say even like do some 3/4 and even some side views to be able to give more information to the models. So yeah, we do also these sketches. I don't know if you got the chance to see the back, and did you get the concept for that?
Yeah. Got it 360. I actually can.
Yeah. Oh yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so, that's amazing. Very nice.
Literally, every detail that your team has put into this, trust me, I have appreciated it.
Yeah.
Where does the creative process for a game like Valhalla and your other Assassin's Creed titles start? Like, where do you begin?
Oh, that's a good question. Usually, we try to focus on a time period or a fantasy we like. We like as a team. We need to be really motivated, by the setting. It's really the first way to have people on board and have people motivated, people wanted to join the team, is to have a very strong setting and a strong historical period. Also, we do some focus groups. We talk with the fans, and we know they like some eras, and we have this kind of exchange. I think it's very important to listen to the fans, but also as creative people to be really interested by a setting. It was very clear, for Black Flag, it was bringing to life the pirate fantasy. It was a very clear fantasy, and we were all on board for that. And I think it was exactly the same kind of strong, I would say, motivation for the Vikings and the Viking fantasy for the team. So usually when we start, we choose the setting, we choose the era, and we, through the narrative process, we choose maybe a period that would be recreated in the game, and then we pick some location we like, because they have sometimes a connection with the historical setting, but also because they're iconic and interesting. So, for instance, we can make creative decisions like working with historians on blueprints and maps of the different cities So we look at the different stage of the cities, back in the time, and we use that as a base inspiration. But after that, when we see that in the game, sometimes we miss verticality, so we need to make some creative decisions, like we did on Valhalla. We did a lot of creative choices, and also because it's a gray area, we don't have that much information, so we had a lot of creative freedom. So, for instance, the Roman runes are something that you can see if you go to England. You will see Roman runes, but they're not as tall as you can see in the game, because you need to have this verticality for Assassin's Creed, and also you need to have this kind of epic moments where you're in front of a huge gate, and you want to have this impressive, imposing Roman, rune resounding from the past, and you have all these layers of history, the past, the Roman, abundant structures and the runes of the past, and then the more recent Viking structures and Saxon structures. So this kind of contrast is very mysterious. It's very interesting to see, okay, these Roman runes with the huge statues that were, the remains of a dead empire. And I think it's something interesting for the game also.
Yeah, it definitely helps with world building, because not only does, like you said, it's based on real things that we're aware of, but we get a better understanding of maybe how history progressed as well through these games. And I'm a big history fan and a big architecture fan, so I'll appreciate a ton of stuff. I'll climb on all of it too, probably.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. Oh, you will find a lot of variety, because I think it's the most diverse world we created. Not only because of the different cultural clash. We have the Viking, the Norse architecture. We have the Saxon architecture. Then we have the Roman, remains. But we have also the Celtic architecture. The Celtic, history. So everything is, a beautiful blend. Mixing together in this kind of visual, homogeneous, visual direction we want to have for the game, but with a lot of diversity in the cultures, but also in the biomes, because England is very varied. You have not only the rolling hills, but also the mountains, the dry fields, a lot of open negative space, which is interesting, I think, to create contrast between action and places where you need to breathe and enjoy the photo mode. You need to play with that house.
I'm really looking forward to exploring. Like, I love open worlds, so you guys have created a space for me to just lose myself in completely, and that's really great.
Well, you can. I did a lot, actually.
When deciding on the character's personality, does the actor that you have mimic the character that your team is in charge of creating, or is the character based on the personality of the actor?
I would say it's a very interesting process, because it's like, you get inspired by the actor or the actress, or even you feel even the character you made, it's brought to life with the acting, and you discover when we discovered, for instance, Bayek was first just a CG character, and as soon as we have our actor playing Bayek, it became alive, and we discovered a new character because of his acting. So with Abu, it was just amazing, because he was laughing with the kids. He's such a nice person, but also so charismatic and badass. And I feel it's really through the acting that you can really feel this kind of CG character, brought to life. And that's very fascinating. And that's the same for Eivor. The way they talk, the way they walk, the way they act is really giving life to a first, like I would say, a cold CG character. So that's really amazing to see that coming to life.
That's really cool. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's the characters that you guys create just feel so real, and it almost feels like you are obviously you as the player are taking on Eivor, you're taking on the main character, but through this character, it's almost like you're building your own relationships with each and every character that character interacts with. So you guys do an amazing job with it, and so do the voice actors, and all the emotion goes into it as well. As a cosplayer, I understand the stress of working under pressure, especially with to create high quality content. How do you keep your creative team motivated during moments of extreme pressure?
Oh, that's a very good question. Actually, I think it's you really need to find the balance between being kind, inspiring, but also to be demanding. And I've been, art directing games for almost 18 years now. I've been, from AC, even before on the Prince of Persia, then AC1, Revelation, Black Flag, Origins, and every time I think we need to be kind with people. When you don't deliver the quality, we have expectations. So for sure, it's more difficult for people having hard time to be really motivated to work on a game like we're making. You need to think about the luck you have to be here. And I've been really blessed on this game on Valhalla, because we had actually a few junior people on the team who they really shine. They really did amazing stuff. We had people working on I would say the beautiful biomes. All the trees of the game have like a specific shape. They put so much love in the world and also in the characters, even as junior, that now we are like so impressed. And that's beautiful, because they have all this motivation, but they deliver an incredible quality at the same time. And we have also all the pillars of the brand, all our senior we can really rely on. And I think it's a beautiful balance. But yes, we do have a huge challenge every time. It's a huge challenge, but we need to work, even if it's very hard, until the very end and until the finish line. And when we see what we have, also with the reaction from the people, it's the best present we can have. Because when I would say like now, looking at people posting photos taken with the photo mode, and I see some place of the game, I was like, oh, is that a picture? Is that a photo of Norway? No, it's from the game. And even, we get impressed by the stuff we did, because people have a different eye, and we have this kind of step back we need also. And I would say that's beautiful.
That's amazing. It's so rewarding to actually be able to create a world and explore it at the same time. It doesn't stay 2D. And I suppose when you're focusing on such tiny details that make up one giant thing, when you take a step back and you allow other people to interpret that world, it must be super, super rewarding. So what is it like to see people bring your creative vision to life by cosplaying as characters from your work?
It's always really fun. I was lucky enough before the pandemic to go to a few events and festivals, and I love to go to Italy at Lucca Comics and Games. It's a huge thing. There's a lot of people, a lot of cosplayers there, and I've been surrounded by so many assassins there. It was so funny. So many Ezios, so many even like Altair, and they come to you, and sometimes it's is that really an assassin? I'm not sure. And sometimes it's exactly like what we have in the game. So there's an amazing range of quality in these kind of assets. But it's really fun. It's really cool to see actually the character brought to life like this.
That's amazing. I'm not being biased or anything, but if you ever wanted to make it to a convention to South Africa.
Oh yes. As soon as we can travel, I really hope.